Hey guys, I'm here to talk about the Saxophone Etude number 1 for the Texas All-State Jazz Ensemble for 2014-2015. There's a couple of things. I'm going to play a little, then I'll talk a bit about the piece. But first, let's talk about one of the 3 important things that we look for when we're going and judging these competitions, or anytime we're listening to somebody play jazz. There's 3 points. It's sound, swing, and style. All right, so let's talk about the first one, which is sound. One of the biggest things that we find that's not appropriate or doesn't work well is the mouthpieces. A lot of people will try to use their classical mouthpiece in a jazz setting. It doesn't quite work. C-stars, the Van Doren AL3s, AL5s are great mouthpieces for the classical style, but not quite appropriate for the jazz style. So you just need to make sure you get a mouthpiece that is appropriate. Doesn't mean you have to go out and spend $300-400 for this. $100-150 for work. You know, there's some great mouthpieces out there that are reasonably priced, such as the Myers, the Autolinks, the Rousseau Jazz, things along that nature. And I generally recommend rubber, hard rubber, even for tenor, that you can get great sounds on rubber mouthpieces and you don't have to worry about the brightness that goes along and the control issues sometimes with the metal mouthpieces. The other things within that is reeds. You don't have to buy jazz reeds to be a jazzer. That's often a misunderstanding. I know a lot of good players that still use Blue Box Van Doren on their mouthpieces. You have to match the mouthpiece to the reed. So experiment. So if I have a dark mouthpiece, I can always get a brighter reed. Or if I have a bright mouthpiece, I want a darker reed. So mix and match that way. So don't feel just because you're playing jazz, you have to have a jazz reed. Because remember, Coltrane didn't have all the stuff that we do now. So now let's go into swing. The next part, I'm not going to go into the details of swing. If you go to my website, ericruyle.net, publications in there, /publications, I'll put the link right along here. You can pick up a little article that I wrote about basics of swing, of how to get a good phrasing of that way, nice smooth swing with bebop tonguing, and then also I'll give you about 5 rules of basic jazz playing, and you can go through and do that. Those are important. I encourage you to download it and take a look at that. So next, so that will cover the swing within that. Now, let's go through and let me go through and play this etude for you so you can take a listen first of what it's going to sound like. All right? All right, now that we've heard the etude, let's take a look at it to find some things that'll help us out. Now, generally, the bebop tonguing isn't marked. As if you looked at my handbook or my little article, you'll notice I talk about bebop tonguing. So here, I've marked it in pencil. Even though that it's not marked in the original part, they always want you to bebop tongue. So it's not a matter of tonguing everything, it's the bebop tonguing. That'll help going through. Make sure it's smooth also. Again, within the article I talk about it. So it's not just the first note, it's the upbeat to the downbeat. That's what you slur, going through of that nature. Accent on ties and so on. Notice how the triplet, we got the bebop tonguing starting from there, slurring all the way through. Ba-da-da-da-la-dee-da-da-da. So you want to make that smooth. Note before a rest, short, be-da-da-da-dee-dot. Da ba da ba da ba da la dee da da da. So notice how I'm slurring through this. Ba da ba da ba da 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 dee dot. Now, here's one of the trickiest things in counting wise is dealing with notes on the and beat, on the upbeat, followed by rest. Now, within that, yes, it's short, but also the next full beat that we can actually feel, downbeat, is a whole beat away. So if I'm dealing with this note right here on the upbeat, the next beat that I can actually consciously feel is this beat here because it's a whole beat away. So be da da dee da, boom, ba da da dee da da la da. I cannot feel this rest right here tap wise because by the time I end the B, I've already begun this rest. Be da da dee da, ba da da da. So I got to make sure that when the next foot tap or downbeat I can feel with my foot is that a whole beat away, which is that eighth rest, so we bounce with on off that. Now, where that also can come into play, look down here. Ba-ba-doo-da, boo-da. So there's the next downbeat we can feel because it's a whole beat away. Boo-ba-doo-da, boo-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Notice here, that's the downbeat. Is it a whole beat away? No, it's not a whole beat away. So we really can't feel this eighth note. So you got to just make sure you hit this. So it's almost kind of an anticipation. Be ba da 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 da. So make sure you go through within that, getting that type. Another thing is as we talked about within the article, the triplets and 16th are smooth. Now, if you notice when I play it, I really didn't go heavy on it. Da 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 da. You want to make it smooth. That's the whole thing. It's just an effect. It's not precise notes like that. You want to get the notes exact right. You want to get the timing, but it's not hammering them in. These are just an effect of so that's the way you want it to go. And generally when I have long lines of that, I make it go some direction. I either crescendo or decrescendo in it. Notice how when I went through and did this, so I did a crescendo into there. Same thing this. So generally the short ones, I crescendo up as we go up in this. I'll probably crescendo through that. All right. Now let me adjust the camera here so we can get down and catch the second half of the tune. Careful. Sorry about this. Whoa, that's not. Can I get it? Let's see. Camera's not being my friend. Sorry about that. Even though it's on the tripod, I'm not getting it well. Kind of crooked. Let me see if I can get it straight. All right. I think I got the rest of the thing now. Now, excuse me. As we go through and do this, dee ba da 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 da. There's that rest. So that's the next downbeat we can feel from where we talked about previously. Be ba da 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 da. Rest. Dee ba da da dee da 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 da. So make sure there's that next beat we can feel. So rest in that. So you won't feel two beats. You'll just feel one beat. 16th notes going through here. Again, a lot of times I'll hear da 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 da. No, that's not what we want. So make it smooth. And if you notice, I think I did a nice decrescendo within that. It's a little awkward transition into this, so it's not about getting all notes perfect. It's an effect, and that's what you want to go through and do. Nice little jumps in here, which makes it kind of hard. Notice how he's making them long. They're marked long. That's the little umo from my article, unless marked otherwise. That's where he marks it, that he wants those to be played long, as opposed to the contrast of the quarter note here, which is like the regular ones, which is short. Now, he has accents on this. I wouldn't overdo it. Some people do. I don't overdo them simply because they're the tops of the lines anyway. So these will naturally be heard. So when you play this figure and you just play it regularly, these are naturally going to be louder because they're higher notes. Higher notes are louder than lower notes. So since these are the top notes, they're naturally going to be a little bit louder. So that's a little accent. I may want to lead into this one a little because it's a lower note going through and throughout there within that. As you listen to it, I went and did play it with the accompaniment track that is available at the tjea.org website. I encourage you to go through and do that. When working these, start slow. It's not about how fast you do it. It's about the whole effect of nice, smooth swing. And that's going back to the three things that we talked about, which is sound, swing, and style. So make sure you have smooth swing, because if it's jerky or you're tonguing every single note, like if you tongue every single note through here, or you're tonguing, all this through here, it's not going to be a nice smooth. It's the angularity created by the smoothness and direct reflection to the lines that are disjunct or creating that through. That's what we want to go through and do that. And then style, looking for phrases, okay? And that's what's going through. I'm not going to go into specifics talking about phrases today because that's something that you can go through with your teacher. But hopefully these are just some things to think about when you're playing this. Again, it is smooth as possible and going through. I think I'll put that clip back after this so you can listen to me play the etude one more time. It'll be the same thing. I'll just copy and paste. So you'll get an idea of, and one way of playing this, but getting it as smooth as possible. Hopefully this helped you. If you ever have questions, you can email me at ejruyles@yahoo.org, yahoo.com. I will have the link also at the end of the article, at the end of the video. So there you have it. So there's the Saxophone Etude #1 for the Texas All-State Jazz Ensemble auditions for 2014-2015. I'm Eric Ruyle. I appreciate you stopping by. Look for my next series in this where I'll do Etude #2 and also Etude #3. Take care.